A juror dismissed for calling him rich enough to buy his way out. The courtroom drama heats up before Diddy's trial even begins.
Jurors are dropping like flies in the jury selection voir dire in the Sean Combs multi-count federal indictment. Joining me at the courthouse, Lauren Conlon, investigative journalist and star of Primetime Crime on YouTube. Tell me about the jurors that have fallen by the wayside, Lauren.
Nancy, it's been very colorful here at 500 Pearl Street during jury selection for Diddy. We have seen many jurors get dismissed for various reasons. One man said that he possibly couldn't stop smoking weed for 8 weeks. Another woman said that she once fainted when she heard the term BJ. Another man said that he believed that wealthy people...
Lauren Conlon is joining us from the courthouse. Did you just say a lady juror said she fainted when she heard BJ?
Correct. She fainted once in life when she heard the full term. Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye-bye. And then also we had the one juror who said he couldn't quit smoking weed and could not go a day without weed. And in fact, he got totally zonked out high the night before. He's out. What about the sleepy juror that binged all night watching Star Wars? I don't want him on the jury.
Well, it's funny, Nancy. That juror actually didn't finish the questionnaire, appeared to be falling asleep when he was being questioned. And the judge said, well, do you have some kind of sleep apnea? And he basically said, no, I was up all night watching Star Wars. But don't worry, I wouldn't do that. Needless to say, he was dismissed.
Oh, my stars. Wait a minute. Lauren Conlon, he's not all like a Star Wars freak. You know, the ones that dress up like Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader, or they have their own very own individualized lightsaber. My son got one of those at Disney when he was like 9. But yeah, you don't want, as much as I love Star Wars and I'm eagerly anticipating the next installment, I don't want a Star Wars geek on the jury. I mean, if as a state I wouldn't, maybe the defense wants him. But is he gone, the Star Wars freak?
He is gone, Nancy. And additionally, there is an HBO employee who is also gone. Now, this employee did not work on the documentary, The Fall of Diddy. However, the defense wasn't taking any chances. This employee said she may have heard water cooler talk, but again, gone as a juror.
You know, that's really interesting, Lauren Conlon, because when you say an HBO employee had water cooler talk, this is going to throw defense attorney Eric Faddis over the edge. But remember, with water cooler talk, Lauren Conlon, there are no rules of evidence. That potential juror could have said, well, I heard X, was edited out because it was too explosive for the HBO documentary, The Fall of Diddy. Or guess what we heard during filming the doc? I mean, there's so much that potential juror knows that didn't even make it into the doc. So I guess that juror's gone, correct?
Correct, gone.
Who else has been thrown off the panel? We've got the HBO employee. We've got the pot-loving juror. We've got the sleepy Star Wars freak. Who else has been thrown off?
Yes, it's someone who said that they believe that wealthy people can buy their way out of these situations, or that wealthy people get special treatment. They were thrown out very easily. Another woman who was very Catholic said that she would have to be very sure because someone's life is on the line. I believe they were actually going to push her through. And then she said that she had Crohn's disease and that she would have to go to the bathroom every hour. So she was pushed out.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of going to the bathroom every hour, does Diddy need a diaper? Isn't it true, Lauren Conlon, that Sean Combs had to beg for an emergency bathroom break in the middle of jury selection?
Yes, Nancy. He actually told the judge he was very nervous. He asked to use the bathroom. In my opinion, he was trying to connect with the jurors, be relatable, and say, hey, look, I'm nervous. Look at me. I'm just like you.
I don't think how that's relatable to the jury.
No, I mean that, look, I'm nervous. He's admitting to being nervous. I mean, it's his trial for his life, essentially. 5 different counts of federal sex trafficking. So I think it's very normal to be nervous in a situation like this, just as potential members of the jury would be if they were in his shoes.
You know, Lauren Conlon, it's really interesting that you're saying this because I've had you on the hot seat many, many times asking you questions. You don't know what my questions are going to be. But I never see you have to take an emergency bathroom break or demand an adult diaper. But that said, okay, whatever you say, Lauren Collins joining us at the courthouse, let's analyze what we're learning about jury selection right now. Okay, you know, Dr. Bethany Marshall is joining us, a high-profile psychoanalyst out of the LA jurisdiction. She's on Peacock right now. She has a book, Deal Breakers, and she's at drbethanymarshall.com. Dr. Bethany, it's all fun and games when you're in control and you're the one with the lighting technician behind you and you're the one reportedly, allegedly, forcing or asking women to lie prone after drugging them, and you're the one pulling the strings and asking your producers to move the ladies' limbs while they're passed out so you can get a better camera angle during their rapes. It's all fine when you're in control, but now that he's not in control, did he need a diaper?
Well, I think this is going to be a case study in what an alleged predator does when he can no longer predate on the women and men around him. He might actually, Nancy, predate on the jury in some weird way. Like, you know how defendants sometimes stare the jurors down as if they want to threaten them into a non-guilty verdict. I mean, I think we're going to see some of these behaviors slipping out because P. Diddy has been in a position of power for so many years. He relates on the basis of power. He gets sexually aroused when he's in a position of power. He can't help himself. I remember a patient coming into my Beverly Hills office once. He had spent 7 years in a federal prison, and he said that the guys who were behind bars who were con artists would typically go through the cafeteria line and try to con the workers out of one more sandwich. In other words, they kept doing what they do psychologically. So let's wait and see what P. Diddy does in the courtroom that's a through line from his prior behavior.
You know, Robert Crispin joining me, private investigator at Crispin Special Investigations, former federal task force officer, U.S. Department of Justice, formerly with the DEA in the Miami Field Division. Never a lack of business there. Also in Vice. Robert Crispin, I just heard investigative reporter Lauren Collins say it's totally normal to have to race to the bathroom when you're nervous. I think it's more like, Robert Crispin, when you get put in the back of a police cruiser for the first time and they shut the door, when you are looking, eyeballing, seeing the whites of the eyes of jurors that are going to decide whether you go to jail for the rest of your life, suddenly, did he need a diaper? I mean, how many times has a police cruiser been hosed out with a water hose by the defendant, by the suspect in the back seat that suddenly vomits, urinates, defecates? Because it gets real, Crispin.
It does. It's the body's response to being nervous as hell. You know, I can't tell you how many times people have defecated in the back of my police car back in the day. How many people have defecated in an interview room, or when you take them and walk them into the jail and they put their first step into that jail and they defecate themselves because they're so nervous. Diddy had to take this bathroom break, I'm sure, because he's starting to see the rubber hit the road. And like I said before, federal court is no joke. I don't care how much money you have, how powerful you are. It's intimidating. It's real. It's not state court. It's the real deal, Nancy. And it's what is going to put him away when he's found guilty for a long time.
Another issue has emerged. An alleged sex slave of Sean Combs. He is named Jonathan Odie. We are now hearing about him. Why? Now, authorities finally believing what Odie said back in 2018 on tape. We have the tape. Listen.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would They told me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave.
Joining me, in addition to Lauren Conlon, standing by at the courthouse where the jury has been selected, Sydney Sumner joining me, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Sydney, who is Jonathan Odie? Where did he come from? Nobody believed him back in 2018, but suddenly it's all fitting together.
So Jonathan Odie was a personal trainer and a porn star at some point who kind of became a known name after a shootout at Trump's Doral Hotel in Florida. Now, his new claims have nothing to do with that shootout, but he claims that he was a sex slave for Sean Holmes and Cassie Ventura for years. Now, Odie also claims that he was forced into signing an NDA in exchange for $5 million from Sean Combs. Now, what Sean Combs was so worried about Odie talking about, we don't know. But a picture of that NDA has surfaced. So while Odie originally makes all of these claims among wild conspiracy theories, he even mentions the Illuminati, there may actually be some truth to what he's saying.
Guys, you're seeing the video of the shootout that landed him behind bars, but let's listen to what would be brought on in cross-examination to shred his credibility. But wait a minute. This statement was made back in 2018, before there was an indictment, before Cassie Ventura ever came forward. Listen to what he's saying.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave.
Okay, to Dr. Bethany Marshall, yes, he can be shredded on cross-exam regarding credibility. I mean, I got the video of the shootout, for Pete's sake. But again, who do you think is in Sean Combs' orbit? Nuns and priests and virgins? No, Jonathan Odie is in his orbit. Listen to what he says. I had sex with Cassie Ventura and Combs. He would watching us and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had 15 encounters, and he would talk business on the phone and have it plugged into the TV with speakers. So what does that mean? It is corroborative. It reinforces what the current victims are saying, that they would be drugged and they would wake up with their hurting. And other witnesses state that Combs would sit back, maybe video with his phone, talk on his phone, and orchestrate the entire forced, coerced sex encounter where these women were the victims. It's the same thing. And he's saying this back in 2018.
Nancy, it's the same pattern over and over again. What P. Diddy would do is he would debase Cassie Ventura. That's what he did when he chased her down the hallway. That's what he did when he kicked her in the back, lower back, where the kidneys are. That's what he did when he threw a vase and drug her back into the room. He loved to debase her. What better way to debase your girlfriend than to make her have sex with a psychotic, delusional former porn star? Look at what he's trying to do to her. And at the same time, he's not getting his hands dirty. He's just like propping himself up like the king, watching, doing business. It's like he literally is on a throne, a business throne. There was another reference Odie made to the fact that he would watch TV as well as being on the phone. So he's self-aggrandizing and devaluing her. And think about the criteria for narcissism and sociopathy is self-aggrandizement and devaluation of others. This is really that whole dynamic on steroids.
Sean Combs, innocent until proven guilty. Another thing that Odie says touches on someone connected to the Combs defense team. Listen.
I had settlement with Sean, okay? And he belongs to that agenda. That's why he's so famous. They land all the contracts. It's his attorneys. My settlement put me in a box. Basically, I couldn't talk because otherwise I'll be sued. So I let it be, but they've been following me, and they've had, Mark Garrett has had the FBI on me, has had other agencies looking at me and spying on me, okay, because they want to set me up as an extortionist, like if I was extorting Sean for money.
Okay, this is back in 2018, Sydney, and you hear Odie describing an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, where he gets paid and works for Sean Combs, but he cannot divulge anything that happens during that employ, all right? Then he brings in that Mark Garagos is on him, who is now currently consulting with the defense team. He's a seasoned trial lawyer. So after this incident with Odie, suddenly Odie comes into $5 million, where a month or two before, he was flat broke. What does Odie's wife say about that sudden windfall of millions of dollars?
Nancy, Odie's ex-wife says their relationship suffered in the months after Odie met Sean Combs at a Star Island mansion party. So their relationship deteriorated, ended in divorce. It was amicable, but Odie seemed to push the proceedings to go as fast as possible. And he listed his net worth in their divorce proceedings as negative $1,800. Now, less than a month after that divorce, Odie purchases $800,000 in property in cash. It's not mortgaged, it's in cash. So his ex-wife, who wanted to remain friends with her ex-husband, has no idea where that money came from, and now she thinks that maybe he could be telling the truth.
Speaking of Garagos, who is a very, very wily defense attorney, Garagos is now in the crosshairs of the judge in the Combs trial, Judge Subramaniam. Listen.
Prosecutors point to one of Garagos' comments in particular, calling their team a six-pack of white women. Judge Subramanian was shocked by the quip, calling it outrageous. Garagos' daughter, Tenny, pushed back, saying her father merely made an observation, considering her client feels targeted for his race. The judge said the comments would not be tolerated in any court from any lawyer all across the nation.
So Garagos refers to, and he did it on a podcast. It's called Two Angry Men. It's Harvey Levin, who founded TMZ, who is a great lawyer himself, and Garagos. They're the two angry men. I guessed it on that recently, but trust me, he didn't say that while I was sitting there. Oh, Hellno. He referred to the federal prosecutors as a six-pack of white women. Then, after that, the judge dressed him down. Sydney Sumner, what happened?
Judge Subramanian was not having any of this. Garagos is not officially a lawyer on the case, but if he's been consulting, prosecutors want to make sure that he's not making public comments that they are not allowed to make. And coming for the prosecution like this, yes, the team is 5 white women, a white man, and a few others to round out their 8-person team. But to say that Sean Combs has been targeted unfairly because of his race is not a defense Subramanian wants to hear.
Also, in the midst of jury selection, a lot of high-profile names were read off to the jury. Listen.
Prosecutors are not happy about the amount of support Combs' defense team is receiving from star attorney Mark Garagos. Garagos is not associated with the case in an official capacity, but has reportedly been consulting for the team, led in part by his daughter. That hasn't stopped Garagos from discussing the case in the media at length. Prosecutors urge the judge to enforce rules limiting involved attorneys' public comments for Garagos.
Michael Myers, what does Austin Powers have to do with Sean Combs? You know Austin Powers, a.k.a. Michael Myers, the international man of mystery. Listen.
You know, Dr. Evil, I used to think you were crazy. I know. But now I can see you're nuts. I thank you.
That from the 97 movie, Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. Also, we're learning that an HBO employee has been thrown off the jury panel. And again, we're not to the petit or petite jury phase. That's a jury of 12. We're in the large panel, which can go from 40 to 60 to 100 jurors. From them, you whittle down. Now it's at 45 and will be 12 plus about 6 alternates. I would pick more alternates than that. But hey, I'm not trying the case. HBO employee off. Why, Sydney Sumner?
Well, the defense was concerned that this HBO producer, even though she didn't work directly on the documentary The Fall of Diddy, she admitted that she had overheard and participated in water cooler talk about that documentary. And 3 of the witnesses in that documentary were paid. 3 of the witnesses that appeared in that documentary and who were paid for their interview are set to testify in the courtroom. So the defense successfully argued that that producer should not be allowed to sit on the jury.
So even though this producer with HBO did not have hands-on experience with the HBO documentary The Fall of Diddy, the producer talks about water cooler talk. And as Faddis and I were discussing earlier, water cooler talk has no rules of evidence. They could say, I heard this, I saw that, we left it on the cutting room floor. But here's what made the air in that documentary.
She has knots on her head. It was horrific.
He said, sometimes you just gotta let these know who the boss is.
I see them both holding guns.
I'm fighting for my life.
He said, I'm Puff Daddy. I'll eat your face off.
Sometimes you just got to let these know who the boss is. Okay. That is from our friends at ID Investigation Discovery. Dr. Bethany, no wonder they want that HBO producer off the jury panel. The things that producer might be able to tell.
She has seen and knows so much. I remember my days at CNN and HLN, when you were on HLN. I remember being in the green room once, then going to the makeup room. And in the makeup room, the girls were talking about the fact that a very well-known journalist had come to the green room, locked himself in there with a bottle of white wine and a prostitute. I could never unhear that. I could never unsee that. The public doesn't know that, but we knew it because we were at the Bureau. So this HBO executive producer, she knows a lot. A lot could come out of that woman's mouth. And I think the defense was smart, actually, to not let her be a juror.
Oh, yes, Dr. Bethany, a lot goes down in the green room. Who's in and who's out on the Combs jury? We're finding out a lot. Hey, joining me right now, I'm hearing Dr. Dwayne Hendricks has joined us, former Associate Warden, MDC Brooklyn, former Senior Warden, U.S. Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Prisons, founder, president, a New Dealite Foundation, and author of Who Are You? See It, Say It, Seize It. Dr. Hendricks, thank you for being with us. Can we talk about the regimen that is strictly adhered to get Combs to the courthouse? I mean, even at the Fulton County Jail or the Atlanta Jail, City Jail, we would have a very strict schedule when we had to bring defendants or witnesses over from the jail. I recall telling you that it was in a felony bank robbery case. I can't believe they did this. They were old, rickety school buses painted white with the ability to bring the inmates on, triple shackle them, and put them in a seat so they couldn't kill each other. But I actually had a defendant in the bank robbery stab my star witness, who was also in the jail, with a pen on the way over to court. I'm trying to try a jury trial, and the defendant stabs the witness on the way over. Don't worry, I put the witness up on the stand anyway. Then he went to the doctor. But explain how Combs is getting to the courthouse and what it entails.
Just like you just mentioned, Nancy, in the morning, after the 5 o'clock count clears, they'll get the inmates up. The staff in the booking area, receiving and discharge area, gets the list for the next day, probably between 2 to 3 o'clock the day before. And they want to make sure anyone who's separated from each other, like, co-defendants or individuals who may be testifying against each other, aren't brought down to the R&D area, receiving and discharge area at the same time. So that way, when the marshals do come to pick them up early in the morning, around probably about 6, 7 o'clock, to get them over to the courthouse before their proceedings begin, they want to make sure everyone there is shackled, black box, Martin chain, all of that, and put on a van or a bus. Now, in this case, for Mr. Combs, he's in the
Oh,
East
please,
Building.
don't even try to tell me, don't try to tell me that Sean Combs is riding over with all the other inmates on the school bus. He's probably got a limo.
No, he doesn't have a limo, but he's probably riding in a van, in a secure van with a couple of different deputy marshals that are probably picking him up, or maybe one or two other inmates from that East Building over to the Manhattan courthouse, where he'll go over to the holding tank. He's probably separated from all the rest of the inmates if they're not from his same housing unit, where he'll be dressed out into his court clothes and brought up to the floor where his proceedings have begun this week. And that'll be the same process every day. And then he'll probably head back to MDC. If he's in a secure van with him and a couple other people, he'll probably head back over there in the afternoon, early evening, and then he's in process back into the jail. And then they'll probably,
What time did you
be
say it
monitored.
starts in the morning, Hendricks?
Sometime after the 5 o'clock count clears. So he'll probably be in receiving and discharge around 6 o'clock in the morning, where he will have a breakfast in a box meal type thing.
Oh
And then he'll be.
no, oh no, Dr. Hendricks. Sean Combs can't sleep in and have his personal assistant make him a specialized breakfast and bring it to him in bed. Darn, I hate when that happens. So Sean Combs being brought over probably in a special vehicle to the courthouse where he's decked out for court. But we're hearing a lot about another individual in jury selection, Cassie Ventura. This as Combs tries to convince the jury, don't hate me because I'm a swinger.
Sean Diddy Combs' defense lawyers insist he isn't a rapist, but a swinger. Attorney Mark Agnafilo tells the court Combs simply engaged in a swinger lifestyle, seeing nothing wrong with his behavior.
As potential jurors are questioned about their ability to maintain impartiality, an obstacle quickly rears its head: the video of Combs attacking Cassie. Numerous potential jurors have seen the video and formed opinions on it. Of those who have watched it, only a few were able to say they did not think it would affect their impartiality.
While some who have seen the Cassie video are allowed to stay, several jurors are dismissed for the opinions they formed from it. One juror called the video damning evidence, while another said it would be hard to get new evidence against the video. Another juror was dismissed for his belief the rap mogul could, quote, buy his way out of jail.
Joining me, high-profile lawyer Eric Faddis, TV legal analyst, founding partner Varner Faddis, Elite Legal, former felony prosecutor. I guess you hate that video because one video is worth 1,000 words. In that video, Cassie Ventura is dragged down the halls of the now defunct Intercontinental. She is kicked and beaten by Sean Combs, who's brazen enough to wear nothing but a towel. He doesn't care what people might think if they come out of their room to see what is the ruckus. And she is dragged after being hit and beaten, literally dragged by her collar back to what we've been told is a freak-off that she was trying to escape. You know, the thing we talked about earlier with Jonathan Odie, where Sean Combs forces people to have sex while he talks on his phone. That's what a freak-off is. Don't you just hate when videos like that come into evidence?
The video is harrowing, no question about it. It's going to be evocative and inflammatory. The defense is saying that incident happened actually after they learned about some cheating that was not agreed upon or something, not after a freak off. So, can there be a physical assault in a
Put him up.
relationship?
Oh, so it's okay. You've heard there was some cheating, and so she gets a booty beating. Did he just say that? Yeah. you did. Oh, that makes it okay.
Not at all that it's okay. The thing is, how relevant is it to the sex trafficking charges? If it truly was just a separate, unrelated physical assault, that's problematic, but that's not sex trafficking, and it's not necessarily relevant to sex trafficking. I've, in fact, heard
Faddis,
reports that
isn't Cassie
prosecution might not even bring
Ventura
it into evidence.
one of the alleged victims? Isn't Cassie Ventura, the victim in that Intercontinental Hotel tape, going to take the stand? Isn't coercion and violence part of this case? Aren't there gun charges involved in this case? Coercion, beatings, threats?
Certainly, that constellation of issues could become relevant. The thing is, if it truly was a separate, unrelated incident that was a physical assault, that can happen in a relationship, and the relationship can still have consensual romantic encounters. I think that's the argument defense is going to make to say, hey, this video actually is not related and should not come into evidence. And in fact, it's so inflammatory that it might be unduly prejudicial under those circumstances.
Do you play poker, Faddis? Do you play poker? Do you know how to play poker? Because you have a serious tell, and I hate to tip you off, but the crazier and zanier your argument gets, the faster you talk, and you suck people in like jurors, and they may actually start believing. It's like a snake charmer. You know, you start talking really fast, and people are like, what? What did he say? And they might actually start believing it. I guess that's how you win all those jury trials. Okay, so if, big if, the Cassie Ventura tape doesn't come into evidence, what about this tape? If he says, I didn't do anything wrong, then why apologize?
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you got to do that. I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
Second verse, same as the first. That's from Diddy's official Instagram, Diddy, aka Sean Combs. We wait as evidence pours from the witness stand. Goodbye, friend. Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.